We all know how Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, all of those companies are using sentiment analysis in the comment or posts, right? So hey folks, assalamu alaikum. So in this video we are going to use the Microsoft Azure Cognitive services to detect some languages and as well as sentimental analysis. So let's get started. So first of all, we have to log into the Microsoft Azure portal. So if you don't know about Microsoft Azure, it's basically the cloud service by Microsoft. So let's get started. So yeah, maybe later. Now first of all, let's go here in this actually lab. You can see there are some services we have already created, for example the cognitive services and so on. So you don't need to create I actually don't need to create one, and you might not be able to create one, but assuming that you don't have any credits and so on, just you can follow this video and you can see how these services work, right? So just there might be few services which we will not create from the scratch. That is the main thing. Okay, so let's get into the work and search for cognitive services. So while searching for cognitive services, we can find that here we can see there are lots of cognitive services basically, right? But you can search for all cognitive services. Okay, so that is the service we were talking about, right? So this service has been already created before the lab, so we haven't created it from the scratch, but just to make it simple, we haven't created it. Okay, now let's press it, and there are a few things we have to note down. Okay, so what are the few things? The keys and endpoints. Okay, so these keys will be helpful for us to access to this cognitive service and for the endpoint as well. So the endpoint is for the West US right now, so we can access it from there. So you can actually, I can press the show keys. Okay, just the one we'll do, but so I will copy it, okay, and save it into the notepad. I have kept it for the key one, and also for the endpoint I am saving it. Okay, done. Okay, now we are going to use the function app. Okay, so for the people who are using AWS, you might get familiar with it, like something like Lambda, but by default we have some function app already created. So under that function app we are going to use some functions. Okay, so just to see or implement our APIs. Okay, so let's create a function. First of all, we press the create, and now we will follow this one instruction. So first of all, you can see the language detection, right? So the language detection, we are going to use the HTTP trigger. So we have to press the HTTP trigger, and we're going to delete it and save it. Okay, now let's create this API. Okay, so what this API will do is you can see some functions generated, right? By default there will be some functions. So let's go to the code plus test. Okay, so when we come to this place, now let's go and check it out. You might see some code by default, but we are going to change something. Okay, we are going to change this name to return. Actually this is a variable, and also disable it to false. Okay, so if we go to function.json, you can see that function, and it is res, and there is no kind of disable to false. So we're going to delete it, and we're going to use this one. Okay, just we can copy it and we can paste it, right? And we can actually save it. Okay, when we press the save, you can see something connected and something is going to work, but that is not what we tried for. We have to do some other tasks, and that then will be done. For the index.js, so you can see there are lots of things, but we are going to delete it and paste it. Okay, so here is the most important part. Remember, we saved the key and endpoint. We are going to use it here. So this is the actually key. Okay, we are going to actually paste it here. Insert your key here, and the endpoint. Okay, so endpoint was westus.api.cognitive service, so we are going to use it. Just So these two part is used just to get access to our cognitive services, because we have to create one and we have to do it. Okay, now we will press the save. Now it is done for the language detection API. Okay, now we can test this. How? Let's do it by this one, test run. Okay, so now if you press the run, it will not be okay. You have to press this get. So if you are familiar with APIs, so this get and post is actually very common. Okay, so we are going to use this get, or you can also use the postman to know much more in details about these APIs. Okay, so this is not part of this video, just we are talking something. Okay, now let's press this run. Okay, so what we were doing, when the output will come, you will know. So here, look carefully. So the ID one was, this is a document written in English, right? So this cognitive service should give me a output where it will detect English, right? So you can see this ID one has name English, right? And also this is EN English. Okay, for ID2 it is in France. Okay, you can just assume it. So you can see the ID2 has been French, right? So it has also detected that. So the ID3 is like Spanish, so it has detected that. So this is how this cognitive service can easily detect. We were actually using the Azure Cognitive service, and we provided some random actually JS file and JSON to check if they work properly or not. Okay, now we have worked with the actually language detection. Let's create another API which will work with like you can talk like about sentimental analysis, right? Because sometimes, or in Twitter post or Facebook post, you might post something. Okay, so these softwares or these companies like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and so on, they can easily detect if you're happy or not, something like that. Because sometimes you do post about suicidal post, right? So they will easily detect if this post actually means that kind of thing. Eventually, if you go to YouTube and if you try to comment something uglier, they will easily tell you that if this comment is breaking the code of conduct or not, you should check it, right? You might have faced this kind of things. So this is how they actually do check out the sentimentals and so on and so forth. So let's go to the functions and let's create another one called sentimental analysis. So you can see it also here, like sentiment analysis. So no issues with that, just copy and paste, and we will repeat the same thing. Okay, just here HTTP trigger, and for the HTTP trigger one, sentiment analysis, and great, done. Okay, so now the thing is almost the same for function.json, but something different for index.js. We will know why, because we can easily detect if it should be same or not, because while we were checking for the language to be English or Spanish, it was something a random text, but when we're checking for the sentiment, so we will actually differentiate it. Okay, and we will give something sad or happy things, right? Happy text. Okay, now let's put this the function.json and save it. Let's go to the index.js and copy and paste it. But here again, for the index.js, you can see we have to provide the key and the endpoint, right? Let's go, and as we have saved, just copy and sorry for that. Okay, and we have to paste the actually endpoint as well, right? Just like the previous one, just like the previous API. Okay, now we're done. Just we have to press the save, and we will be good to go for the test, right? Okay, so I think we're done. Let's press the test or run. Again, the same process, get method and then run. Okay, so before checking it, you can just see what we have mentioned here. Okay, what was in the code? Okay, so in the code you can see for the documents we had ID1 language English. It is provided that it is in English, and it is written that I am having a wonderful day. What does it mean? It means that you are happy, right? So it is the sentimental, or it is feeling like you are happy. So if you're so happy, it will actually give you marks on 1. Okay, so you can see the score is 0.93. That means it is near 1. Okay, so if you're near 1, that means yeah, you are happy. But you can see here ID2, today is terrible and I just want to go to bed. That means you are sad, right? So if you're not happy, so it will mark in the negative basis. Okay, so it might be near 0. Okay, so you can see ID2 is score is 0.3627. That means it is near 0 and you are not happy. If it would have been in the suicidal post or something like bad thing, it would have kind of much more less point, like 0.0 or minus something. Okay, so this is how actually we can use the cognitive services to detect some kind of languages or sentiment. And most importantly, we all know how Facebook, Twitter and YouTube, all of those companies are using sentiment analysis in the comment or posts, right? So that was it for the video. Thank you for watching the video. I will mention and I will add these GitHub repository so that you can test if you have the cognitive service, and if you want to check if it actually works perfectly or not. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, feel free to subscribe to the channel so that you can see lots of DevOps, cloud, machine learning and data structure and algorithm related content. And yeah, again, assalamu alaikum.